So now that we know how to make integers and strings and save them as variables, I've got a little challenge for you. First of all, we're going to quickly do a program to do with sandwiches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 4 sandwiches on a plate, theoretically, and I'm going to remove a sandwich and count down the number of sandwiches, and we're going to change the number of sandwiches that are saved as a variable, as an integer. So what I need to do is I first of all need to set the number of sandwiches. So I'm going to say sandwiches set as an integer in a comment so I know what I'm doing. So sandwiches. So I'm going to say I'm going to have 4 sandwiches. So that's an integer of 4 set in a variable called sandwiches. Nice and straightforward. Okay, so we know how to use that integer to print that information out to the screen, that variable to print out to the screen. So I'm going to say print, and I'm going to use my round brackets, and I'm going to say yum. There are, and I'm going to close the quotes. And now I'm going to use the variable that I've set to say how many sandwiches there are. So sandwiches, after a comma, and then another comma. There are something sandwiches. I'm going to eat one. Okay, so we've got our variable here, it's set to an integer of 4. We've got our print statement here, our round brackets, and then we've got a string of yum, there are. Then we've got our variable of sandwiches, and then we've got another string afterwards to finish off the sentence. And we're using commas to put in between so that we leave a space in between. Okay, so if I run this, you'll see on my output here, I've got yum, there are 4 sandwiches. I'm going to eat one. Excellent. And we know that if we change sandwiches to say 3 and run it again, it would say yum, there are 3 sandwiches. I'm going to eat one. So that's nice and simple. However, what I want to do is I want to make the program count down the number of sandwiches as each sandwich is eaten. And to do this, we use a loop. Now, we've not covered loops yet, so bear with me, but let's follow along together. What we're going to use is a really simple loop called a while loop. So basically it says, while, say, the sun is shining, do this loop. But in this case, we're going to say, while there are still some sandwiches left, do this loop. So what we would type is while, and then we would say, while there are still sandwiches, so we need to write sandwiches, which is the name of our variable, do this. And by saying that, I'm going to say, while sandwiches are not equal to 0, okay, so not equal is exclamation mark and equals sign, and then 0. So while sandwiches are not equal to 0, and then just like a list, we've got to put a little colon. That's the one dot above each other, that's next to the L key. Okay, while sandwiches are not equal to 0, we want it to do something. So we're going to say, yum, there are so many sandwiches. But because we've got a loop here, we need to do one last thing. Okay, we need to indent that print statement. So we say, do this within the loop. Okay, it's a bit like having a shoebox for your loop and then putting all the things that you want inside that shoebox. Okay, so while sandwiches are not equal to 0, print, yum, there are so many sandwiches, I'm going to eat one. Okay, now, if you were to type this and run, what do you think would happen? Have a go. Pause the video, have a go. Now, so have you had a go? Okay, you've come back, and I think you've probably found that it will just keep printing out, yum, there are 4 sandwiches, I'm going to eat one, over and over and over and over again. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's maybe because sandwiches are always not equal to 0, because you've always got 4 sandwiches? So what we need to do is we need to take away a sandwich each time we do the loop. Now, just do a new line, but make sure it is still indented. Sandwiches equals sandwiches minus 1. What we're saying is, okay, we've got 4 sandwiches up here, and we've just said that on the screen, but now we want to take one away. So we're going to change the number of sandwiches in our variable. So we say sandwiches is now what the previous number of sandwiches was, minus 1. So at the first time you go around, it will say sandwiches is 4 minus 1. So the new value of sandwiches is 3. Super. Okay, so try and run your loop now. I'm going to run it. Okay, so over here, we've seen our loop has now worked. Yum, there are 4 sandwiches. I'm going to eat one. Then it's taken away a sandwich, and it's done it again. Yum, there are 3 sandwiches. I'm going to eat one. It's quite explanatory, yeah? Okay. Have you noticed that it finishes after 1? That's because we said, while sandwiches are not equal to 0, do this loop. When there's 1 sandwich, and we take away 1 sandwich from 1 sandwich, we get no sandwiches. So what happens is it gets to this bit of a loop and it says, sandwiches are equal to 0. That means that you shouldn't run the loop, you should stop. So the program will stop. But we're going to do one final little thing. We're going to do something after the loop. So I'm going to make a new line and another new line. And we're going to take away the indent because we don't want this to happen inside of the loop. And we're going to do one final thing. I'm going to leave myself a comment to remind myself what it is. When the loop finishes, this happens. Okay, so I'm going to get it to print one final line, just as a string. So print, round bracket, double quote, where did all the sandwiches go? Okay, let's run that, see what happens. This time it's printed out 4, 3, 2, 1, and then finally it said, where did all the sandwiches go? Okay, if yours doesn't look like that, if you've got where did all the sandwiches go each time, then you've forgotten the little indent here. Write this program, make sure you save it as something suitable like sandwiches, and then I've got an extra challenge for you in a new video.